Welcome back to BLOCKTV. Now, a key or buzzword that we often hear in regards to blockchain and cryptocurrencies is privacy. And one of the projects leading that charge is Zcoin. And today, we are joined by Project Steward at Zcoin, Reuben Yap. Reuben, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, now, Reuben, everyone says that Zcoin is a privacy token. How private are the transactions done with Zcoin really?
Now, if you use our Sigma privacy transactions, I do think that we are among the most private cryptocurrencies out there. We rely on a very unique mechanism where we allow people to destroy their coins and then redeem them for brand new ones with no previous transaction history. So I guess the idea there is that we're not kind of hiding in the crowd. It's more about the coins almost teleporting, just disappearing from one side and then reappearing from another end. So I think especially we have a holistic approach. We even protect on the network layer, use Dandelion protocol. So I do think that right now we're among the top 3 private cryptocurrencies in terms of technology. And I do think that once our new privacy protocol rolls out this year called Atlantis, we might be among the number 1 or number 2 most private ways to transact on the blockchain.
Mm-hmm. Now, especially when you're having a technology that enables privacy to this extent, how do you survive, or how can a privacy token survive in these days of strict KYC, AML regulations, even on an international level?
Sure, I think this is a really good question because, obviously there's been a lot of news about privacy coins being delisted or being targeted by regulators. But if you actually take a look at the actual regulations that are coming out, the actions that are actually really being taken out, well, first of all, the biggest one would be the FATF travel rule. And if you look at the travel rule, there is no prohibition on privacy coins. It is merely imposing obligations on exchanges and custodial wallets to actually, give sender information. So basically, when I'm sending from an exchange to another exchange or to a exchange to a custodial wallet, I need to be able to give information of who this sender is. And having a privacy cryptocurrency is not against that because exchanges already have your KYC and ML data. And I guess the idea is that, yes, you can still be compliant because privacy cryptocurrency is just like cash, and cash still survives regulation. And so, and even right now, there isn't actually any regulation that is against privacy cryptocurrencies per se. It is only banks maybe being a bit cautious about stuff like this. But I think in this year, we'll see like the FATF travel rule coming into place. And I really think that a lot of the bans or so-called soft bans have been because of a misunderstanding of how the FATF travel rule actually applies. So I don't think there's a really conflict in privacy cryptocurrencies and regulations.
Mm-hmm. Have you kind of gotten the feeling from exchanges, because these are all very new regulations, and there's been a lot of kind of criticism towards regulators because of a lack of clarity on these regulations? Have you been getting a feeling from exchanges that are maybe kind of taking a wait and see approach, that they're kind of hesitant to deal with privacy tokens, even though these regulations don't specifically call out privacy tokens?
Definitely. I do feel that, especially, I think the biggest one, as I said again, is the travel rule. And that is really hard to comply with, even for non-privacy cryptocurrency. It's not just a problem that faces privacy cryptocurrencies. And one of the biggest idea is that when I'm withdrawing money from an exchange, how do I know whether I'm sending to a customer, which is outside the regulation because it only applies from sending from an exchange to another exchange or from an exchange to a custodial wallet service. But if it's from an exchange to a customer, there's no of this requirement to give information there. But there hasn't been like a universal framework to actually say, how are we going to do this? There are many solutions out there right now. They are competing, like OpenVAS, CipherTrace, and there are all these other companies out there that are trying to fill this gap. But the truth is that unless something comes about as universally adopted, almost like SWIFT for cryptocurrency exchanges, I think it's an ongoing problem. I'm a bit worried because the deadline is coming in like a couple of 3 months or so, and exchanges haven't actually indicated which solution are they going for, and it's going to be really hard to see which solution that all exchanges would be comfortable in adopting.
Mm-hmm. Now, it's not just mere customer client transaction like you mentioned, but Zcoin also announced the launch of their Zcoin crowdfunding system that kind of shifts direct funding from block rewards to a kind of more donation model. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. So, one of the great things about having a block reward funded model where the team gets a certain portion of rewards from the block reward is that our interests are aligned with the cryptocurrency. There's no outside interest. We're directly funded from the blockchain. We don't get it all up front. So that means we are as motivated to, make Zcoin the most successful privacy cryptocurrency, because we also want to see this reward increase. However, because of securities law, we want to be a decentralized cryptocurrency. We want the cryptocurrency to be not reliant on the central team. And to allow that, we have to slowly move away from this model of block reward funding to more decentralized models, and crowdfunding is one of them. So the ZCS is actually a Zcoin crowdfunding system, and it actually was drawn inspiration from Monero's CCS, which is like community crowdfunding system, and it was actually forked from that particular project. And the idea is to actually kind of see that, well, even if the core team doesn't have the funds to do it or doesn't want to do it, the community can actually fund additional ways to improve the ecosystem or the community things, or even site development tasks. And we've actually seen quite a good response. We had some really big donations coming in to show that they want to improve the wallet experience, and we think it's a good first step to decentralizing the funding mechanism of Zcoin. And hopefully eventually we won't need a block reward subsidy. There might be other ways to do it, but I think it's a worthwhile exercise in pushing towards more decentralized funding. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And your development team has been doing such a wonderful job, not just necessarily transactions, but also you guys have been working on a
sound.
Sorry?
I lost sound. I couldn't hear the first part of the question.
Sorry. Yeah. I said that your development team that does have that great incentive program has not just been working on transactions, but also you kind of have this election system that you even already ran an election in Thailand. How does that work?
So yeah, I mean, in 2018, I think we carried out the first wide-scale political election on the blockchain, where the Thailand Democrat Party was running its primaries, where to select its party leader. And there was actually a lot of disagreement as to a lack of trust between the different candidates as to who should store the e-votes and how can they trust it. So they actually elected to use the Zcoin's blockchain, which is like a neutral party, to actually store these votes. Now we have actually expanded on this, and we have now what we call a tokenization layer. And the beautiful thing about this tokenization layer is that it inherits all the privacy features of Zcoin. So again, if you create a private token on Zcoin, you can burn and redeem. And this is actually a really perfect use case for doing this type of elections, because what you can do is that one of the really important things of elections is basically, the privacy of the voter, right? You need to verify who they are, yes, but you cannot show which way someone has voted. And that has been quite a difficult problem to solve. Now, using our privacy technology, people can, be assigned like, a Zcoin token, and they can destroy it. And then they can choose to spend it to an address that signifies, candidate A, candidate B, candidate C. And the great thing about this is that no one can tell from which voter this come from. So it actually allows anonymous but verifiable voting. And this is one of the use cases we see this so-called tokenization layer, which we call Elysium on Zcoin. So we're really excited to see this in use. And we actually kind of like on the final stages of putting our finishing touches on this. Yeah.
Yeah, that's to me. Once I learned about blockchain and started, kind of looking into technology, one of the most obvious use cases for me always seemed like voting. It seems like it fits very well with the unique tools provided by blockchain, especially, instead of a double spend, it's a double vote problem, and especially like you mentioned, privacy. Now, one of the things that enables your system is kind of Merkle tree proofs that kind of lends itself also to a more democratic mining ecosystem. How important, in your view, especially when it comes to other blockchains, big ones like Bitcoin, where it's more of this, I wouldn't say corporate, but kind of big money, large scale mining operations. How important to Zcoin is it to have a more democratic and decentralized mining system?
Sure. This is a great question. I think the idea, first of all, proof of work is not just a security mechanism. It is also a distribution mechanism because, like unlike a ICO or proof of stake coin, which generally you allocate and says who gets what, mining or proof of work is a way to distribute coins based on how much, work that people put in. Now, especially for a privacy cryptocurrency, this is really important because we don't want to just like pre-allocate everything, right? We need fair ways to approach the cryptocurrency. And the issues with, ASICs, so ASICs are specialized machines that do mining, is that first of all, they are being produced by a few companies. And the only thing that these ASICs can do is mine a particular type of cryptocurrency. They can't do anything else. So in other words, it's a money-making machine. Now, if I'm an ASIC manufacturer and I'm producing money-making machines, what is the incentive for me to sell this? It doesn't quite make sense, right? Because if I can make money-making machines that are going to make me money, why should I sell this to the public unless I need to scale my operations? I need a bit of liquidity, but otherwise it just makes sense for me to hoard the most of these miners, mine it for myself and get a reward, or sell it for a price which has factored this opportunity cost. So what we're seeing is that, yes, although ASICs may be argued to say provides higher security, it actually leads to huge centralization of the issuance of the new supply to these people or these mining manufacturers who can produce these things. And we think that's kind of like against the whole idea of what proof of work is supposed to do, which is, fair distribution. And that's why we focus more on stuff like graphics cards, because we feel that that's, people can buy graphics cards, they can put it in the computer. If you're a gamer, you don't need to get specialized hardware. You can just mine with your GPU. And of course, Monero has taken a different approach, using CPUs. We actually have some views upon that because, although Satoshi was talking about one CPU, one vote. So that was the whole original idea of Bitcoin, right? But the issue with that is that with the advent of like cloud computing, with the advent of like large idle server farms, what happens is that there's botnets, there's people that have controls of large amounts of either servers or computing CPU hardware that can just mine the cryptocurrency to death. And we've seen this in other smaller cryptocurrencies like Loki. So that's why we feel that GPUs, they're not 100% ideal, but I think it's the least of evils versus ASICs, FPGAs, CPUs, and we think GPUs are the best in between because reasonably easy to get, but not very easy to get like botnets for this.
Yeah. Well, it's a very interesting argument, especially now, where cloud gaming's taking off. You got NVIDIA's GeForce Now. We can rent GPUs, Google Stadia, which isn't exactly running GPUs, but similar systems. But that conversation will have to wait for another time because our time is up. Reuben, thank you so much. I can't wait till next time to continue this conversation with you. And for all our viewers at home, if you want more on blockchain, cryptocurrencies, and tech news, make sure to check us out at blocktv.com.
Watch us on Amazon Fire TV and Roku.